See, now pay attention to how this is worded, because it's really giving you some insight. See, a lot of times you will have people that will start throwing stones and casting accusations at people, but really, again, that's they coming up. That's how they coming up. Because sometimes that's what we feel we need to do. To come up, we got to put somebody else down. But that ain't how you come up according to the Lord. How you come up is be a servant, right? That's what the Lord say. If you want to be first, then be last of all and be servant of all. Then that will be how you come up. But you just got to pay attention to what they're saying. Because I listen to what people say. Sometimes it might seem like they making a good point, but then it's really not the point they making. It's about them. Now this started off, it said Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses, right? Now they spake against Moses. See, that's what the point is. Be careful about speaking against people, because you can have your own agenda in the back, in the background. So they spoke against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married the Ethiopian woman. So that's what this seems like this is about, right? They upset with Moses because he married an Ethiopian woman. That lets you know all of them was black. Because we know the Ethiopian's black. Ain't nobody never tried to lie about that. Nobody never tried. Well, the Israelites was black too. Because this wasn't no interracial, even though it was internationally married, but they was all black. Moses had married an Ethiopian woman, and they got upset because she wasn't an Israelite. But go ahead, verse 2.
And they said, have the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses?
Okay, now they mad about the Ethiopian woman, but they got something else to say, right? See, it wasn't even about the Ethiopian woman. That was just a front. That was just a facade so they can come on up. So also involved in that conversation is, and they said, hath the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? See, they coming against Moses about this woman, then they going to add, well, see, the Lord ain't just talking to Moses. Well, what they got to do with the Ethiopian woman anyway? One don't have nothing to do with the other. But see, this is their opportunity. So this is really what's on their mind. See, what's really on your mind going to come out in the end. It said, and they said, hath the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? What else?
Have he not spoken also by us?
Uh-huh.
And the Lord heard it.
See, they said us. He said, he ain't just speaking by Moses. He's speaking by us. So now they putting themselves up there, aren't they? And the Lord was using them. But see, did they have to put Moses down to make that point? See, that's what they felt they had to do. They felt they wasn't getting enough glory out of the situation. So they going to find something on Moses, point the finger at him to knock him down a peg. See, that shows you when you start thinking like that, you're on the wrong page. So he said, for he had married an Ethiopian woman, and they said, hath the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? Hath he not spoken also by us? And the Lord heard it. Verse 3.
Now the man Moses was very meek, above all the men which were upon the face of the earth.
See, Moses was meek. That's why he got exalted. He wasn't trying to exalt himself. Moses could care less about doing it. Moses really didn't want to do it. See, that's who the Lord used. He didn't even really do it. And the Lord made him do it, so he was meek. But go ahead.
And the Lord spake suddenly unto Moses, and unto Aaron, and unto Miriam. Come out, ye three, unto the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out. And the Lord came down in the pillar of the cloud, and stood in the door of the tabernacle.
Go ahead.
And called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithfully in all mine house.
See, the Lord came to Moses' defense right away. The Lord heard them saying, Moses didn't even have to start defending himself. Ain't that something? The Lord showed up personally to defend Moses. And that's where preachers should be careful, because they put Moses down. Oh, like Moses was stupid. See, that was Moses back then. But no, Moses talked to God face to face, the Bible say. How you going to put down what he wrote in the Bible? But they want to do away with everything Moses said and just take some of Paul's writing. Look, Moses is on top of Paul. I'm here to tell you. He talked to God face to face. This is what God said. Even Miriam And Aaron had a special position, but they didn't come close to Moses. So now they done made up an accusation against him. And the Lord came right to his defense. He said, let me tell all y'all something. He called them all three out there. He said, let me tell you something. He said, if there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, I make myself known to him in a vision and speak to him in a dream. He said, generally, this is how I work. I speak to a prophet in a vision or in a dream, right? But he said, my servant. Notice he called Moses a servant because that's what it's about, being a servant, right? Moses just did his job. He said, my servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all my house. Why Moses not so? Verse 8.
With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. And the similitude of the Lord shall be behold. Wherefore then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
See, he said, look, Moses is not like no regular prophet. I'm going to tell you now. He said, I generally speak in a vision or in a dream, but not with Moses. I speak to this man mouth to mouth, face to face, basically, he's telling you. He said, I speak to Moses face to face, not in no dark sentences or parables. I talk to a man like we friends. That's what he's telling you, right? And then you got people going to belittle Moses. That's amazing. These people got in trouble for belittling Moses. But why did they come against Moses? Did they come against Moses because they thought really Moses had done something wrong? No, in the back of their mind, they was trying to come up. Because that's why they added, well, the Lord, yeah, he talked to Moses, but he talking to all of us. God said, look, I'm going to tell you who I talk to. And that's what he letting us know, right? He said he talked to Moses face to face. Go ahead. He said, you should have been afraid. He said, why you wasn't afraid to speak against my servant Moses? Because that's all Moses did. He was a servant of God. And that's what we need to be, servants of God, and even be better servants. Verse 9.
And the anger of the Lord was kindled against them, and he departed.
See, the Lord upset. Go ahead.
And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow.
See, now that lets you know she was black because she became leprous, white as snow. See, it wouldn't have been no big deal if Miriam looked like a Gentile, because I could care less what color God was when he came, what color Israel was. The facts just speak for themselves. It wouldn't have been no big deal if Miriam was already white. That wouldn't have did nothing for them. Because she was already white, so being turned white wouldn't have mattered. Well, she got a little lighter? No, that wouldn't have been no big deal. But it said when they departed, when the Lord departed, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. She turned white. That's a big deal if you black and it's all you around black people, right? Go ahead.
And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous.
Go ahead.
And Aaron said unto Moses, alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not this sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned.
See, Aaron was scared to death. See, Miriam probably wasn't one instigating, so the Lord didn't even do nothing to Aaron except scared him to death by what he did to Miriam. But she probably wasn't one taking the lead, so since she wanted to jump to the forefront, she got the brunt of it. So he turned her leprous as snow. But go ahead, verse 12.
Let her not be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed when he cometh out of his mother's womb. And Moses cried unto the Lord, saying, heal her now, O God, I beseech thee.
See, now the one you trying to come against, he the one turning around and going to pray for you. And that's what a real servant to do. And that's what Moses did. You trying to come against, knock him down a peg, now he got to pray for you. That's bad, isn't it? But see, that's what happened when you forget that you're supposed to just be a servant. But now, verse 14.
And the Lord said unto Moses, if her father had but spit in her face, shall she not be ashamed 7 days? Let her be shut out from the camp 7 days, and after that let her be received in again.
See, the Lord, Moses prayed and said, heal her now. God said, nah, I'll do it in 7 days. Let her suffer a little bit. Let her stay over there by herself and think about it a little bit. Let's show you how God works, boy. He know what you need. He said, she going to be straight, but we're going to give her a week to think about it. But now go ahead.
15. And Miriam was shut out from the camp 7 days, and the people journeyed not until Miriam was brought in again.
Okay, so now they shut down. But all that happened because, hey, Miriam and Aaron, all of a sudden, they're going to rise up and lift their stuff up and forget that they're supposed to be servants. Romans, the 16th chapter. We're going to go back to the New Testament and we're going to start trying to wrap it up. Romans 16 and verse 17. Romans 16 and verse 17. See, when you forget, that's when you're getting yourself in trouble. When you forget it's simply about being a servant. And a servant of God. That's why we got to pull ourselves back and remind ourselves. Because if you don't remind yourself that you strictly supposed to be a servant of God, you will drift, and before you know it, you will only be serving yourself, and then you're in big trouble. That's what people do. That's why you got Israelites that start making up, and people, period, preachers, period, and whatever they call themselves, you got them start making up teaching because now they so special. They somebody special, so they coming up with something. I find that over the years, brothers trying to just come up with something to distinguish themselves or make themselves special. Instead of just realize it's about serving God and just dealing with what you understand. You ain't got to come up with nothing new to prove something to somebody. Romans 16. But people do that. They did it in the Bible. Romans 16 and verse 17. That's why Paul gave this message here. Go ahead.
Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, and avoid them.
See, that can happen. That can happen around here. That can happen anywhere. You could know the truth, but you can be around and people can be around here and forget that it's about serving God. It's about service. It ain't about us, ourselves. It's not about some individual showing how wise he is. But people can forget that. So that's why Paul reminded them, because they had some stuff going on. He said, mark them which cause division. He said, you mark them that cause divisions and offenses contrary to what you done learned, the doctrine you done learned, and avoid them. He said, look, we got to draw the line because you got people coming up with this new wave doctrine, and you always had it. Like I know brothers been in the truth for years. Now all of a sudden they dealing with a floating Sabbath. They can't be substantiated nowhere in the Bible. But they dealing with it. Anytime you got to really go too deep, read between the lines, you stretching too much. Even if it was right, you might as well leave it alone till you could prove it on the line. Wait till the Lord show you some more scripture where you can prove it without telling me to read between the lines. No, you just stretching. But you got brothers doing that, and they trying to palm it off people. You got brothers that knew they weren't supposed to eat pork. Now they eating pork saying, you know, we just like everybody else, we saved by grace. You have lost your mind. He said, mark them that cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which you have learned, and avoid them. See, because that's another thing. Even if the Lord gave you some revelation and it was different from what you around and what you teaching, but the Lord gave you a revelation, you ain't got to try to force it on nobody. You know, if the Lord had given me a revelation, which he didn't, if he had given me a revelation while I was still under my teacher, I might have shared it with him. If it was something different from what he was teaching, I might have shared it with him. And then if I shared it with him, he said, nah, I ain't see that revelation, and I don't agree with that. What I'm going to do? I'm going to keep trying to force it, tell everybody around there about it? No, that show you is your agenda. Because you ain't trying to do nothing but show you know something now. Even if it was right. If it is right, then in due time, the Lord going to make it come across one way or another. But you ain't got to try to stir up some division. That show you it's all about you. But now that's what he's talking about. Read that again, 17.
Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, and avoid them.
See, what about, I thought we could just serve God any kind of way. See, people didn't read all of Paul writing, did they? If everything was okay, why is Paul telling us to mark people that's coming up with some false stuff. That means everything not okay.